Hello everybody and welcome to the AppleBruit podcast. This is probably my 8th recording right now. And you know what? I'm just gonna have to go with this one. Even if I make mistakes, sorry guys. Okay, there are a lot of news this week, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put all the links that I'm gonna talk about in the order that I talk about them. I'm gonna put them in the show notes. And you're just gonna have to deal with them that way. I'm also making a video version, so you can go to YouTube and you can look at the database that I'm looking at, the database that I've created, and these are the notes that I'm gonna look at. Okay, let's get everything started, just so that I don't go over my time limit of, let's say, 30 minutes. I don't think I'm gonna be below 30 minutes. I'm seeing maybe 45 minutes. I hope it's not. Let's get started. There's going to be new iMacs, MacBook Pros, and MacBook Airs that are going to be shown in WWDC, according to Wall Street Journal, but I have to subscribe to it, so I couldn't access that. And, I don't think this MacBook Air is going to happen in WWDC. I can see the MacBook Air happening in September. The biggest differentiation between these new, quote-unquote, new computers would be the Retina display. And to wow is about 50% on it, or at least their BS meter was at 50% on these new Retina displays. And you know what? That's it. That's it for the Mac news. Let's head on over to the iPhone news, and there is a deluge of iPhone news right now. Let's start things off with Mac rumors saying that the front panel will measure 4.1 inches. Right now, I think the iPhone is 3.5. I'm going by memory here. The iPhone is about 3.5 inches, and this new one is going to measure 4.1. Now, a lot of blogs say it's going to be 4.1, 4.0, 3.999. No one's really quite sure, but the main idea is a lot of these rumor sites are saying it's going to be bigger than the current one we have right now. A lot of the sites also say that there will be a home button. Now, before, in previous rumors, they said that the home button might disappear. Everything might be controlled by software, but a lot of them are agreeing that the home button will appear. And if you're watching the video version, I am showing you the websites and things like that. Okay, next up is from 9to5Mac, which says the iPhone's resolution would be 1136 by 640. Currently, it's, I think, 960 by 640. I'm not 100% on that one. But the main thing is they say that the resolution will be taller than the current iPhone that we have right now. And that means instead of fitting I believe it's 6 rows of applications on your iPhone, you're going to be able to fit, oh, actually, instead of being able to fit 5, you're going to be able to fit 6 rows of apps. That's pretty much what it's going to look like. They also said that there's going to be a home button, and this is something new. They say that the dock would be smaller, the dock connector. It's going to look like the current 30 pin that we have right now, but a little bit smaller. A lot of people have complained about this whole smaller dock thing because they have spent a lot of money buying all these accessories for their iPhones, and they don't want to have to buy all these accessories all over again. But you know what? I think Apple's going to do it. I think Apple's going to have to change that dock connector just because they want to go for smaller form factors and things like that. Okay, I'll keep looking at my notes here, and currently, I'm trying to plug in my iPhone because it's about to die, and that's what I'm using for my internet right now because I am in a remote location. I also noted that the iPhone is going to have the same screen, as in the same screen size. And this was my note about a week ago, but I'm going to redact that. The iPhone most likely will have a different screen size. And according to 9to5Mac, they have seen the backplate for the new iPhone. And what it looks like is brushed aluminum in the center, taking up most of the space, and I guess 2 plasticky looking, I hope it's not plastic, at the top and the bottom. So that's pretty much what everyone agrees with is what the new iPhone is going to look like. And where did they get this backplate? Well, they got it from a Chinese supplier that sells parts to anyone, which is a little bit hinky according to some of the... Yeah. You know what? never mind. I'm not going to go down in that direction. But yes, it's a Chinese supplier that sells parts to absolutely anyone. They also corroborated on the whole smaller dock connector thingy, and they say that it's going to be thinner, according to this shell. The new iPhone is going to be thinner, and that means I don't know what that means. Actually, I lost my trail of thought. There is going to be extra space at the bottom for louder and better speakers. So expect the new iPhones to have louder and better speakers. But then again, whenever a new iPhone comes out, aren't there better and louder speakers than the previous generation? That's what I find, at least. I mean, my iPhone 4 is louder and better sounding than my iPhone 3G. Yeah, okay. It uses the aluminum alloys, and there's a lot of new details on this site. So you might wanna check out 9to5Mac and look at their mock-ups and things like that. And again, from 9to5Mac, they posted this a couple of hours after they posted the previous one that I talked about, and they have higher resolution photos of this new iPhone, and they have it in both colors, black and white, and the white aluminum, the aluminum isn't the exact same color as the plastic, so it's kind of two-toned color in the back. They also say that the headphones are going to be on the bottom right or the bottom left. I'm not quite sure what it looks like on the photo, but it's going to be on the bottom this time instead of the top. And a lot of people have been angry about that, but I actually prefer having the headphone jack at the bottom because I like having more space with my headphones. For example, I was eating breakfast this morning, as everybody does, I'm sure, except for those people who are unfortunate enough to not be able to eat breakfast. Sad. Okay. Anyway, I was eating breakfast and I was looking at the Pocket application and reading all my articles and things like that. And I flip it upside down so that the home button is actually at the top of the phone. And good thing that some apps do this, that they flip their orientation around accordingly. And 9to5Mac, again, they emphasize that there is going to be a small dock. They also say that the unibody design, because this does look like a unibody design, will save some space, enough space to put LTE into this iPhone. And you know what? A lot of rumors do say that LTE is going to be here. I also expect LTE to be in this newer iPhone. There is also a slit in between the camera and the flash, and what they're saying is it might be a microphone, a front microphone, just so that whenever you're recording a video, you have better pickup of audio. The frame of the iPhone also seems like it's the same width, but longer. So keep that in mind. You're probably going to have to buy new cases, and you know what? This is going to be a new form factor, and it seems like Apple is going for the tick-tock cycle. That means tick iPhone 3G, talk iPhone 3GS, tick iPhone 4G, iPhone 4, talk iPhone 4S. I shouldn't call it iPhone 4G because I do own the iPhone 4 and it's sitting right in front of me right now. And the FaceTime camera is moved to the top of the iPhone, as in top center, instead of the left of the ear speaker. The FaceTime camera is going to move to the top. I don't really think that affects anyone out there, but hey, whatever. There will not be an edge-to-edge screen. Like right now, the iPhone that you're looking at, the iPhone that you have, I'm assuming that you have an iPhone. The iPhone that you have is not edge-to-edge, and that's probably what it's going to look like, at least the space between the edges of the screen and the bezel. They also say that iOS 6 will launch this fall, along with the, let me retract that. They say that the iPhone is going to launch with iOS 6 this fall with LTE and a better processor. Now, every single time they launch an iPhone, it has a better processor. And every time they launch an iPhone, it has a new iOS in it. So really, what they're saying is this fall is the launch, and it's going to have LTE. Those are pretty much the new information that we have about this iPhone. I mean, I can say that the new iPhone is going to have better batteries. Yes, that's a given. Next is news from Mac Rumors that says the iPhone schematics are they found the iPhone schematics, and it's going to have a 4-inch screen. It's going to have a bezel like the iPhone 4 right now. And I'm looking at the picture of the schematics, and it looks like this could easily be faked, but I guess we're going to have to take them for what they're worth. They also received this schematic from the same source that gave them the bezel, so keep that in mind as well. And the last thing about iPhone 4s, at least when it comes to their physical size, is a video from Mac Rumors or makotakara.jp. It's a blog. It's obviously a Japanese blog that they show a video of the iPhone 5 glass panels, front glass panel, compared to the iPhone 4, and it definitely looks like it's extended vertically. And I'm looking at the picture here. They say it's 10.33 centimeters diagonally, the screen size of this panel. And I guess it looks legit, but again, this could easily be faked. And it's probably, it's probably from the same source as before. Also, I'm looking at the video, and they could have at least wiped the fingerprint from this thing before showing it to the world. But you know what? Who am I to complain, huh? All right, and that's it for the iPhone, I guess, physical size, shell, outside look thing. Let's now dive into the iPhone5's CPU and GPU. And this is from 9to5Mac, and they say they know what the processor is going to be. It's going to be the ARM S5L8950X. That's their processor. And the GPU is going to be this SGX543RC. Who cares? Really, like, I guess you sound more legit when you put all these numbers and letters together, but basically what it means is what they think these chips can be made easily. So they're expecting that the October launch is very much possible, or even earlier than October. So that is what they're saying. They're also saying that the A5 name will stay with this new phone. So it's not going to be the new iPhone 5 with the A5 chip. No, it's probably going to be not the new iPhone 5 with the A6 chip. They're probably going to stick with the A5X or A5Y, whatever it is, whatever they think about. It's also worth noting that it's going to have the iPhone 5.1 code name, I guess, and it's going to have this Gobi chip, which means it's a low-powered voice and data chip, and it will work with China's TD-LTE network. And I guess that means there's going to be more people that buy Apple stuff. And last of the actual physical iPhone news is that the iPhone is going to come out on Boost Mobile, I guess out there in the US, on September. This is according to Techno Buffalo. So I guess look for that. Oh, by the way, I'm reading the article, and they say they're going to decrease the monthly cost if people pay on time. Man, I wish that was here, because I always pay on time. Like I guess I'm a little OCD that way, but I always pay on time. So it'd be nice if I had like $35 off my monthly bills for that. All right, and now we're off to the iPhone software, any iPhone-related software. And according to Boy Genius report, Microsoft Office is going to release their Office suite on the iPad, iPhone, and Android devices. Now, to me, this just makes sense because a lot of people are moving to mobile devices. It would just make sense that they're going to build something for those mobile devices. Also, keep in mind that OnLive is still currently providing a service where they stream to you the Microsoft Office suite through their OnLive servers. And I don't know if it's free right now or if it's still in beta, but it is possible to have Microsoft Office on your iPad right now if you wanted. The Boy Genius report also brings us news that the iOS 6 Maps app, that was a lot of S's. The iOS 6's Maps app will be coming out this summer, and it's going to be silver themed. If you're looking at the video version, this photo that you're seeing the photo that they kind of show off to the world is actually just a mock-up. It's not the real thing. They have the real thing. They have photos of the real thing, but they are all like these tiny blurry photos. So yeah, the photo that you're seeing right now is just a mock-up, but I guess it looks cool. Right now, the Maps application, they say it's blue themed, and I was like, blue themed? I had to open up my iPhone and look at the maps. I'm like, oh yeah, it is blue themed. So expect it to turn silver. And they're also saying that the OS in general is going to be silver themed. So a lot of the other applications in the iOS 6 are probably going to turn silver as well. Phew, all right, well, that's it for all the iPhone news. Let's jump on over to the Apple TV news. And you know what? I don't know. I don't think these are news or rumors. These are just people saying what they'd like to see in an Apple TV. And let's get started with GigaOM saying that, you know what? An Apple TV, instead of a TV on the wall, it's actually going to be an iPad mini. Because an iPad mini would have no wires, it would have internet access, and it's going to have access to the closed system that Apple's created, like iTunes and the App Store. And what you do is you would stream the media from this iPad mini to any television that you have, any television available to you. Now, that is, I guess that's interesting and that's new. As in, you know, he wants to kind of, GigaOM wants to just thread new path. But I think Apple likes their closed system. If they were going to make this mythical Apple TV, I do expect them to make a physical TV, not a puck that you can plug into any TV. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Well, wait a minute. This already exists. The current Apple TV already does this. You can grab the media from your iPad and you can stream it to the current Apple TV hooked up to any television you have. So why does it have to be the iPad mini? Why not just the normal iPad or the iPhone? And on a similar note, Forrester research company, they also say that the Apple TV will be like a hub. So you know what? Instead of an iPad mini, they say that the Apple TV is going to be a physical TV mounted onto a wall where you can show your calendars and your media and pretty much share anything between the family. So I guess what they imagine is a family sitting down in the living room or something like that, and they're like, oh hey, let's go, you know, check out what the calendar looks like for the whole family this week or something like that. And to me, what this would do is, if you made it a family hub, what it would do is it would alienate the people who don't have families. I mean, what's the point of me sharing my calendar with people that are not in my room? And again, there are current technologies right now that exist, including the current Apple TV, where you can stream all your medias and I guess you could show your calendars if you plug in your iPad or your iPhone to the dock connector that shows it onto the television. And I guess a less redonkulous Apple TV rumor comes from Isideris. I don't know how to pronounce that. Isideris, where they say that Apple TV will have Siri, but not the way you think. What they think is Apple TV will have Siri, but they're going to use the Siri on your iPhone and your iPad already. And what you do is, well, you tell Siri to say, oh, hey, Siri, play me whatever episode of this. And then the TV just automatically does that. And that actually solves a few problems in that a lot of people are complaining if there was a microphone on the television, what's going to happen is you're going to press a button on your remote and it's going to go, Siri, do this. And then the television is at high volumes and all the other people in your couch are going to be like talking and trying to mess you up. So because there's a noise canceling microphone on these iPhones, and I think the iPad might have a noise canceling microphone. So Siri would work perfectly for that, actually. And finally, the last of our Apple TV news, and this one is, I guess, more probable. You know what? The first half of this might be more probable. Actually, you know what? I'm going to redact that. I don't think this is probable. They're saying, the Boy Genius report is saying that the Apple TV's OS, as in the new Apple TV's OS, is going to be shown in WWDC. And it's going to be in the current Apple TV. So they're going to update the current Apple TV with the future OS. Just like how they release iOS 6, you're going to have it on your iPhone 4 and iPhone 4S. And then the iPhone 5, or whatever it's going to be called, is going to be released with the OS already installed in it. They're thinking of the same thing. But if Apple does that, it means that their new Apple TV idea, revolutionary idea, it means that it's going to be sort of the same form factor as the current Apple TV that we have right now. And I'd like to see Apple kind of become more revolutionary with their technology, with their Apple TV technology. They also say that there is going to be a control out API. That means you can plug in your speakers or pretty much any electronics to this new Apple TV, the Apple TV Nouveau, you could say. They're going to plug in, you can plug in all these electronics into it, and all you need is one remote to control all your electronics. And I guess it would be a simple remote, but I can see an iPhone as a remote for the Apple TV or whatever it is. It's going to be simple because everything's going to be plugged into it, and the Apple TV is, I guess, going to control everything in your living room. All right, we're almost there. Now, these are the last, I guess, I'm on 16 out of 20 news articles to talk about, and Facebook wants to make a new smartphone. Now, I'm a little bit hesitant on putting this on an Apple rumor podcast, but it is relevant because if Facebook makes a new smartphone, there is going to be more competition in the smartphone business, and Apple's going to have to improve beyond Facebook and now Windows Phone and the Android phones. They're going to have to they're going to have competition, and they're going to have to fight against each other, which means the consumers win. And this Facebook news comes from New York Times, and they say that Facebook, this new, I guess, group in Facebook hired, I think 12 Apple engineers. I'm not sure. I'm for sure it's more than 6, but 6 to 12 Apple engineers that have worked on smartphones, and even one engineer that worked on an iPad. So they seem to be pushing their smartphone idea. Facebook did try to make a smartphone in 2010. That didn't work out. They also tried to make it in 2011, last year, with HTC, and they're still making that right now. And it seems like Facebook has the resources and environment to make a perfect software, but it is tough to make hardware. I think non-techies will buy this phone, especially my mom or people that are totally into Facebook, just because of the Facebook integration. A commenter from the Tech News Today podcast said that, you know what, his Windows phone could actually be considered the Facebook phone because his Facebook contacts syncs with his Windows Phone contacts and all this stuff, and Facebook seems to be totally integrated into his Windows Phone. And keep in mind that Windows does have a share in Facebook. They own a significant, maybe not significant, I think 10% or something around that of Facebook. So yeah. Sticking with the Facebook story, TechCrunch reports that Facebook will be in iOS 6. Currently, Twitter is in iOS 5, and people have said that Apple had Facebook in iOS 4, at least the developers. They saw some traces of Facebook, integration in iOS 4, but Apple seemed to have pulled out on that. So TechCrunch says that it's going to be in iOS 6, and it's going to be used as a way to authenticate the iPhone user from all these websites that have Facebook Connect on them. They do, however, say that Facebook won't be in Lion. So OS X Lion is not going to have this deep Facebook integration. Again, OS X Lion has Twitter integration, but they don't see that happening in Lion. Maybe in the next version of the Mac OS, but not the next version of Mac OS. Maybe OS X Mountain. No, not Mountain. Dang it. Whatever. Whatever. Next news. Boy Genius reports that Apple is going to keep making the 3GS for emerging markets. I can see this because they want to make money. And Boy Genius reports that Apple's going to sell it for $200 to $250 for the 3GS. And keep in mind that the 3GS is actually 3 years old already. And it's probably going to cost them more to keep building these parts for the 3GS that don't really fit in with any of the new iPhones. So it might cost them more. So Tuao is a little bit hesitant on whether or not Apple will sell 3GSs into the emerging markets. Maybe they'd sell the remaining stock that they have, or whenever people return their 3GSs and it gets replaced through AppleCare and anything like that. I guess they might just sell that to the emerging market. And now on to the second to last news item that I have, and this is actually quite long, and it's iLounge arguing that Apple would make, or it makes sense for Apple to make a point and shoot. Because according to the, okay, I'm going to go through my notes just kind of one by one and just read them off so it's easier for me. The point and shoot market is $68 billion worth. So there's $68 billion floating around in that point and shoot market. And it'd be nice if Apple can just jump right in there and grab more of the profits, like what they do in the computer business. Current cameras right now are also too complex, as in you have to do the aperture setting and the ISO setting and everything in between. And I guess it would make sense for Apple to make something simple, something minimal. And a good contender would be Lytro camera. If you guys don't know it, it's this, it sounds like a gimmick, but what it does is you take a photo and then you can pull focus later on. So you can focus on anything in that photo after the fact using software. Now, this technology will not fit into the iPhone because the iPhones are way too thin. If you look at this Lytro camera, it's pretty much a rectangular box, and the technology just makes it impossible to be shrunk. At least right now, the current technology cannot be shrunk. However, the Lytro screen is actually the same size as the current generation iPod Nano, and it's just this small, tiny, square screen. So Apple's going to have to make a bigger screen for that. I mean, Apple is totally into making nice, big, beautiful screens. Apple could also come in and revolutionize the user interface. Currently, we have all these buttons and dials, but if Apple were to do this, they're going to introduce swipes and gestures and icons that make sense and wording that makes sense to the public, and nothing too complicated like that. iLounge thinks that this new camera thing will be introduced after the revolutionary iTV, or whatever it's going to be called, after that, because according to the biography, what's his name again? Whatever. According to the biography, Apple is into books, is into television, and cameras. Those are the next things that Steve Jobs wants to revolutionize. And right now, he is revolutionizing the textbook market with iBooks and iPad. And next up would be Apple TV, and there are a lot of rumors on that. And then after that is probably going to be the camera. At the moment, Apple is hiring a bunch of engineers for eyesight, and actually, they think that the eyesight name is, they think that the new cameras are going to be called the iSight, because doesn't that make sense? Eyesight, it's a double pun. But the current engineers right now are working, I think, on the iSight, as in the FaceTime camera in front of your MacBook and the iPhones and the iPad camera. So they do need camera engineers to make all their devices with cameras in them. iLounge also argues that Apple makes this iPhoto and iMovie and Final Cut Pro, which means Apple really cares about images. But then again, they also make GarageBand and Logic and Podcast Publisher, which a lot of people don't really know. They make an application called Podcast Publisher, and they have voice memo on their iPhone. Does that mean Apple is going to make a microphone? Right? My main point is they care about media. Not necessarily images, but media, be it music or sound or podcasts, photos, videos, and anything. They care about media. And Lytro is not ready for the big leagues at the moment. Their files are way too large and too low of a resolution. And for some of you out there, you might remember this Apple device called the Quick Take. Yes, Apple has created a camera in the past, but when Steve Jobs returned, I believe it was in 1997 or whenever it was, when Steve Jobs returned, he kind of scrapped that idea because he said, let's focus on a few things. Let's just look at a few core things. And they say that the camera should cost around $400. And I think that's a fair price. I mean, a lot of these high-end cameras right now cost $500 to $600, and Apple might have the ability to sell it for cheap just because of their bulk purchasing powers that they have. So most of this stuff that I just talked about is just purely speculation, and it won't happen for another few years. And, you know, that means when this happens, there has to be the Apple iTV has to be kind of integrated into everything. And then they probably start producing this whole camera idea. And keep in mind that Apple always looks at new technology. So even if it's Litro, I mean, if somebody invented a way to do smell-o-vision, I bet you Apple is going to send some of their engineers to at least look at it. And the final story we have is Apple buying an audio editing software company, according to TechCrunch. And they say it's an acqui-hire, and this does make sense because they want to keep making software for their Macs, like Logic and GarageBand, and you know what, software for the iOS too. Well, anyway, that is it. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I finished all that. Wow. Whew. I can finally breathe a sigh. I can sigh relief. I don't care. I can mess that up all I want because I'm done. For some of you out there, if you want to reach me, you can email me at applebrute@gmail.com, and maybe you can hear it from the tone of my voice, but I am happy. You know what? I am so happy I'm going to get a drink of water because I guess that's going to be the new thing in this podcast. Yes. All right. You know what? By the way, I still don't have a host. I do have John Travolta sitting in front of me. John, can you just say something? John. Yeah. No. You have to say something for them to believe that you're here. No. Call you Mr. Travolta? Okay. All right, Mr. Travolta. Jeez. Oh. Yeah. Okay. It looks like he got offended and he's walking off. Yeah. Don't slam that door behind you. No, he didn't even slam that door. He kind of shut that door as silently as possible. Well, well, that's it. That's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for listening to the podcast. And for you viewers out there, thanks a lot for watching. It is hard to do multitasking. I mean, I did hope to go through my database of stuff and kind of click on links and move around to kind of be more visual, but I find it hard to multitask, especially when I'm thinking of what to say. And you know what? I'm going way over time, and that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.